What happens when the Magdalene becomes the doorway to your sexuality? Everybody's going to know that I'm deeply excited about this conversation today. I have with me today Veenaa Saynana, and Veena has also been an author in Embracing Your Eros, which means that she's now an international best-selling author. Veena has also written her own book, okay, let's see, I have it right here, the Magdalene Letters. There it is. Flame of Ascension. Oh, so beautiful. Yes. And so we're so excited today to get to bring her onto the show. And if this is your first time joining us, I'm Melissa Keenan. I am creating this Magdalene interview series to really widen the conversation around who Mary Magdalene was, and therefore a reflection of who we are as women today in our power as leaders in our work in the world. Mary Magdalene is us and is this beautiful representation. And so we invite you to take in the codes that are embedded in this conversation. And I'd also love to invite you onto the Magdalene Pleasure Pilgrimage that I'm hosting in September in the south of France. And this is an opportunity to go and deepen into a full immersion of the kinds of things that we're talking about today. Well, maybe not all of the things that we're going to talk about today, but some of them, and especially connecting with the land and your inner roots. So without further ado, Veena, I have interviewed you before, in fact, but not in particular in relation to Mary Magdalene. So welcome. Give us a little synopsis about the work that you do and just who you are.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Veenaa Saynana. I'm from Singapore originally. I had a Kundalini awakening in 1999, and I began channeling without even knowing what channeling was. And that was when Mary Magdalene came to me. Interestingly, Isis came first, and then Magdalene came hot on her heels. And I was in an abusive relationship for many years, and I had no voice. I was a second-class citizen. I'm Indian. So in that lineage, there was a lot of disempowerment. And when Magdalene came into my life, there were many changes. I left my marriage, I left my home. It was terrifying, but I was guided. I had this incredible calling, and I knew that I was meant to work in the United States. And through a series of incredible synchronistic events, different people bringing me, supporting me, hosting me, I was brought to this country. And now I'm a US citizen. Um, I had a vision, so I'm a visionary. I've had a vision of having a retreat center since 2007, never knowing, didn't have the faintest clue of how that was going to manifest. And then boom, it manifested. And I've been using sex magic practices that were channeled, downloaded by Mary Magdalene, which I mention in my book. And so I utilized these practices and I manifested my divine soulmate partner who co-founded this beautiful retreat center with me. It's a labor of love. And we got married last year. And we're going on our honeymoon in 1 week's time to Greece to visit the sacred sites and do ceremony. And I can't believe it. I'm living a life that I would have never dreamt of, but this is the life that suits me to the T. I live life with pleasure. I do the things I love to do. I'm surrounded by nature, by forest, and we steward the land. I get a chill as I see all my goosebumps. I get a chill when I say that because we were very clear about our intentions in finding property, setting up this retreat center. We're here primarily to steward the land.
That is so beautiful. And also, you are glowing right now. You are so like radiant in this like yummy energy. And what a sweet thing to be, just on the heels of going on your honeymoon, as this opportunity to reflect on the whole journey. Oh, wow. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine the various points that you just mentioned of things that had to happen to get you to where you are today. Um, that is so beautiful. I love the idea of like, going back to your inner child and being able to say like, look, look at what we created. Like it was not what we ever expected, but look how beautiful it is.
Yes, so true. So true.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get really fun and juicy. I'm like, what is my first question that I want to ask you? You had said that Magdalene helped you open your sexuality by releasing shame. So, what was actually happening in your life before that shift, and what was kind of the nature of that shift?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for asking such deep questions. I love it. So, what was happening in my body? I was severely depressed. I was diagnosed with childhood depression, and I had electroshock treatment, which I talked about in the Eros book. And so I was on a journey of healing. My vaginal tissues were all numb from repeated sexual abuse, from penetration, when I clearly said that I was not ready to be sexually penetrated. And so I was basically frigid. I wasn't able to orgasm. I was very shut down. I had no voice. And so when Magdalene came into my life, there was a huge opening. I had a Kundalini awakening, so the energy rose up my spine. I had 4 nights of in total insomnia. My body was shaking. It was like a lot of the dross was burnt, so it kind of fell off, like left my body. It was kind of traumatizing because there was no frame of reference. So I had a lot of mentors who helped me to contain this energy, to manage it. My psychic abilities were just flying off the charts. It was crazy. It was so such an expansion. It took several years to manage this energy and contain it, and then on the insistence of my close friends whom I was channeling for, I turned professional. So I became a healer, a reader, and then I started offering various workshops, and the doors were just opening for me everywhere. It's unbelievable. I went to Bali, and I'm just singing in the shower, and the owner of the hotel that I was there, he heard me the next morning. He said, I can speak Indonesian. So he said, are you paranormal? Which means, are you psychic? And I'm like, how do you know? And he said, can you heal my wife? And she had a tumor and fibroids and whatnot. And I just began reading. My whole stay was, it was free. And this was the way that my life was just opening up,
Oh.
like synchronicity after synchronicity. It was like living a life of miracles. Um, I even told my friend I should write a book about the way my life is opening up. Okay, to answer your question about the sex part, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the juicy part. That's what you've been waiting for. So Magdalene began channeling uh, various practices, and because I'm Indian, I've been exposed to mantra and yantra. Yantra is sacred geometry, like the Sri yantra and other beautiful geometries, which are just very energizing. So I would combine these. She guided me to combine these with a self-pleasuring practice, combined with other things like mudras and stuff like that. And I began doing that, and my whole yoni started coming alive. Like I could feel sensation where there was no sensation.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And then several years later, I began squirting. And I thought, what's going on? I'm peeing. Holy shit. I was so embarrassed. And we started, so someone taught me about this, and they said, "No, you're doing female ejaculation. You're squirting, and how phenomenal!" So from not being able to have any of that, I became like super orgasmic. I could orgasm, just go on and on, like the sexual stamina was there like for 2 3 hours, and my lovers would go like, I'm so tired, my tongue is, I can't move anymore, I can't do anything anymore. Like, give me a break, like it was hilarious, but it was also so this is one thing that I want to share, right? With all these juicy practices, the kundalini is housed in the base of our spine in something called the Brahman knot. And as you have pleasure and as it rises up, it energizes all the chakras. And by having these techniques, you can actually bring it up with your breath and with intention. And you can use it to energize all the chakras, including your third eye, including your crown, and utilize it to download and uh, have psychic abilities um, to basically commune with the divine. And this, it propels you into a different reality. You're not just surviving on in 3D based reality where the main thing is separation. This is you, this is me. But if you move up, the sexual energy can help you move up and transcend, and you go into the energy of oneness where everything you feel literally a sense of oneness and connection. I don't profess to remain at that state all the time. Sometimes I come down and I dance in 3D and I go, I have my challenges. But then when I remember again, it's like the ability to go back to those bliss states. It's there. It's possible.
Mm.
And nowadays, it's like, I just want to live in those bliss states. I
Mm.
want to live in that sense of oneness and divine union, because then I feel really happy and fulfilled. And my greatest creativity comes from that place.
I
I,
love that. Oh,
yeah.
there's so many things you said that like are just like mind blowing that okay, first of all, you're the first person on the show to say that Magdalene gave you a self-pleasuring practice that led to healing and all of this. Love that so much. And also like coming from a background where, I was taught religiously that self-pleasuring is so shameful and wrong and blah 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 blah. Like I just love that was the story. I just love that part. So thank you. And like, thank you for also being able to just talk so freely about this. And I know that this is a deep part of your work and what you hold and how you help support people in lots of different ways. But it's just so refreshing. Also, nobody has said squirting on the show yet. And so you're the first, and I love it. So good. But
I think that's part of releasing shame, isn't it? That you're able to talk freely about things that truly are important.
yeah, and also like very normal functions of a happy, healthy body. Like why is it so shameful for women to talk about our pleasure? It's almost bizarre when you really look at it, but it's so common. So I just
Yes.
love all of that. And then the other piece that you were bringing in around this oneness. So this has come up on the show a lot, because I think so many of us, when we're doing spiritual work, and I have heard people, take many different pathways to reach that place, that state where you feel that connection to all that is, and it comes with that bliss and that vitality and magnetism and all that, and that's so important. But a big piece of what we're also bringing in this conversation around the Magdalene is how we hold space for the lived experiences of all around us. And I can only imagine, Veena, that there have been times in your life where sacred rage has been a necessary, vital force. So let's talk about. I would love to hear you speak to what is sacred rage to you, and just kind of speak to, some of that in relation to this conversation around eros and around, our sexuality and stuff.
So, as you talk about sacred rage, I'm being reminded of the angry goddesses like Goddess Kali. Like she's in her sacred rage, blood is dripping out from her mouth. And she's seen as killing, chopping off the heads of all these demons, right? And I used to do years and years of Goddess Kali Puja. It's in my lineage. So I used to call upon her and work with her to take away my suffering. So there's a place for sacred rage, and I see it as the sacred goddess protecting all of life, protecting the women, protecting the children. And there are forces that are, they don't have the greatest and highest good at heart. They're
Yeah.
there to destroy, to bring pain and suffering to other people, to create war and to create separation and fear. So, with sacred rage, I see this as when we are in our power, it's like we're not afraid. We're not afraid to stand up and say, no, no, this is wrong. Stop it. Stop doing these things. And I believe it's totally necessary in this day and age for women to step into their power, not to become violent. And there's a fine line that you can cross between being angry all the time and allowing the anger to envelop you. Because I
Yes.
did that once upon a time. I became sick. The sacred, the rageful activist. It's like been there, done that, not doing that again because it harms my own body.
Yeah.
But to temper that rage with lovingness, to be that fierce mother, you know
Mhm.
like you can say no, you can draw your boundaries, you can speak up against injustice, but at the same time you don't lose yourself in that anger.
Yeah.
Because for me, if I do that, I'm destroying the quality of my life.
Yeah, yeah. It's that beautiful balance between the two, isn't it? And this is where I feel and see some conversation necessary around race and around the suffering that people from lots of different lived experiences have experienced, even right here in our country, and that what I feel is missing from our spiritual communities is the capacity to really listen and be with that sacred rage. So often there's this like, all I'm going to do is focus on love and light and not hold these other pieces. And it's interesting, like hearing your story and just all that you have overcome. And I relate in a way in my own dark nights of the soul that I've traversed, that it's like there's no way for me to actually bypass other people's lived experiences because I've almost lived all of the things. Like you have lived so many different things, and I think that's what makes you such a powerful space holder for others.
I feel like I've lived many incarnations in this one life. Like
Yeah.
my life in Singapore, being married, having three children, having no power, and then awakening to my power, and then moving to this country. I've lived so many different lifetimes in so many different relationships. Because for me, relationships is a vehicle of growth.
Yeah,
you know?
really, truly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so beautiful. Okay. I did want to circle back as well to something I've seen again and again. And this was the case in my life as well, that not allowing myself to go to sacred rage also affected my capacity with sexuality. Like we cannot really, it's like your story, like you became completely numb at some point in time. You can't really experience the height of pleasure if you don't know the depths of the rage, of the grief, of the shame, of the loss, like, and allowing yourself to really go to those places also gives you greater access to the feelings that we all want to experience all the time, right?
Yes, yes. I actually wrote about that in the book, in the Eros book too. It's like it's a kind of process of excavation. The more you go into those depths of rage and grief, it's excavating, creating that spaciousness so that you can experience those joys, the heights of bliss too. Because it's a pendulum, you
Yeah.
know, it swings from one side to the other. And um, the more that you can access the rage and grief, the more you can access those places of pleasure and bliss.
Love that so much.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've talked about all of those pieces. Now let's loop in Mary Magdalene, because, and you and I have shared through the time that we've known each other some conversations around sex magic and these pieces, and even from my lens of what sex magic is to me, so much of what you've shared, like we didn't label it that, but so much of what you shared was sex magic, like healing through self pleasure and all of these different elements. Like that is sex magic. And I think we end up with such a narrow view of what it's like. Oh, it's manifesting through sex. But it's like there's so much more to this thing.
Much more.
So I'd love to hear first where you see the intersection between Mary Magdalene and sex magic, like, because it's kind of rooted in some controversial stuff that, like, I actually have a hard time wrapping words around it concisely, to be like, Mary Magdalene has brought me all this sex magic and here's why. What is that for you, Veena?
Um, Ultimately, it boils down to healing and empowerment. Uh, all our chakras are connected. There's no one chakra that's better or less than or more than, right? So we start at the base, at the root, and the energy moves up our spine through all the chakras. And sex, sex is part of our life force. It's our eros. We can't separate it from ourselves. It's like, what do we desire? What does our heart want? Our soul speaks to us through that desire. And by repressing sexuality, ooh, that's the worst, is you're repressing your life force. Because I've found out through experience that by repressing those desires, by repressing sexuality, it can actually create the opposite of eros, which is thanatos. It's a self-destructive force that can you can do self-harm, you can destroy. I believe all the wars and all the destruction in the world actually comes from that destructive life force, which is the opposite of eros. So it's like as we engage in sex magic, as we, heal and release our shame, our inhibitions, and become truly real, authentic with ourselves, with our partners, with whoever we are, just being real in life, authentic. It's that we harness more and more of that life force, and it becomes healing and empowering, not just to ourselves, but to everyone around us, because the heart is a beacon. It transmits frequencies and codes. And if we are running that juicy energy and we are alive and our faces are glowing, and it's magical because it spreads out to everybody around us. People can feel it and they are transformed by it. And it's such a force of good in the world. I think the world needs it right now, tremendously so, because of what we're
Right.
going through, right?
And there's a difference, I think, between the conversation around, well, okay, we all know that sex can just be sex and it can be destructive. And the intention that we bring to the thing we call sex, like whatever categories we're including in that, is all the difference, right? So I think about we can be engaged in sex magic in even in just our breath, even in our because it's this beautiful exchange of energy in and out. Even in our meditation, just focusing on our kundalini, like you just talked about, which is that, you know, thread that connects the different chakras. And so I love what you're sharing around that. How do you see Mary Magdalene tied to sex magic? Or like, why is she involved in the conversation?
Well, I believe that she came onto the planet to lay down sacred codes more than 2,000 years ago, and she was instrumental in helping the Christ consciousness energy to be anchored on this planet. And so when she was coming to me consistently, she would tell me all of this, and I've done past life regression and seen myself in those times of Christ. And she's involved in all of this because she's like the great awakener, the person to come and teach women that don't walk around with your head hanging down. Stand up. Remember who you are.
Mm,
Remember your joy. Remember your body. Remember that your body has this capacity to have so much pleasure, but not just the pleasure. With each and every woman that awakens to the Magdalene, to that power and energy and the codes therein, she is awakening herself and she's awakening everyone around her. We each have this individual, my hands are just trembling and goosebumps are all on my arms as I say this to you. Each and every one of these Magdalene sisters carry individual codes that together become woven into a fabric that drapes all over the earth, activating and awakening the earth to a heightened form of living. We
mm,
are all necessary. We can't do this if one woman is not present or not doing what she's meant to do. So, in coming together as a sisterhood, we each are helping each other to remember because we can't do it alone. We got to do it together. That's the beauty of it. And it's like forgetting, like transcending the past, like the old patriarchal ways of how women were. They would compete for husbands, they would compete for resources,
mhm.
they would fight. It's all, it's done. We're done with that paradigm. And now the age of women coming together to collaborate, to see each other clearly, to empower each other, to help each other. The time that it's meant to happen.
Mm, that is so beautiful. I wonder about like what Magdalene would say if she was here today and speaking to us about sex magic and about eros, and I'd love to even ask you that, but before I do, I think about a few things which you also wove into the beginning of our interview, like Isis came through first, then Magdalene came through. For me it was the other way around. Magdalene came through, then Isis came through. And there's whisperings, there's a thread that says that Magdalene was trained in the Isis mystery schools and trained in a different way than Mother Mary, but Mother Mary was also a priestess of ancient Isis mystery schools. And those would have been carrying codes of sex magic. So there's that element. There's also a thread or whisperings of a story of Mary, um, and kind of the love that she cultivated with Jesus being such a force. Like when you said, you know, when you access this in yourself, it radiates out and it activates those around you. Like I think there is this amplifying effect when you can have the union in yourself of your own kundalini, your own masculine feminine energies running through you. But when you can do that with another soul, like what is possible? And finally, there's another thread that says that potentially Jesus's capacity to resurrect follows the story of Isis and Osiris, and maybe was more due to the things that Mary brought to Jesus than was to just Jesus alone, which, boy, when I learned that for the first time, I was like, what?
Yes.
So amazing. So now I'll ask you the question, like, what do you think that Mary would say to us about sex magic if she were right here today?
Um, it's very interesting because I'm in touch with Mary Magdalene and I also have my tantric Hindu Buddhist roots. So they come together in a very beautiful way. And so this I know from the two lineages, uh, something that is common, that the belief that women hold the sacred keys of awakening and enlightenment, and that in the sex magic, that their partner, be it a man or another woman, when they engage, that both parties have the ability to transcend duality, to transcend and to go into the oneness, and that is sex magic. It is, you can move into the oneness with yourself, even with self pleasuring just by yourself, or you can do it with a partner. And it is awakening and remembering and removing the veil of forgetfulness from your consciousness, from your buddhi. So you are able to partake of that wisdom for both you and your partner. Your partner is able to gain those codes as well in having sex magic with you. So for Jesus, I believe that Mary Magdalene was there and she helped with the sacred codes for the resurrection, for the whole process of him rising. And this knowledge was actually known, but it was suppressed. And then now it's time, and it is opening up again, and more people coming to know about all of this.
So
Yeah.
yummy. Wow. I feel so taught and so fed with all of the things that you shared with us today, Veena, and the different spiritual traditions that you carry and the way that you carry them is so beautiful. Like your background and even bringing your ancestral, tools, and also all of these additional things that you've incorporated in the way that you've lived your life. It's such a gift, and I'm just so grateful that you've said yes and continue to say yes to yourself, because what a gift your story and your healing codes now are to the whole wide world.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. I think for me, it gives me so much joy, and that's why I do it. It's like listening to my womb, and what gives me joy deep down, what gives my core that joy, and that is the thing that motivates me forward. It's not so much making six-figure incomes, and well, that's great and wonderful, yeah, but it's ultimately the joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, spreading the joy, spreading that empowerment. Yeah.
So beautiful and so real. And I think so many women today will benefit from this conversation. To like, I just want to like underline and underscore the transition from having experienced tremendous sexual abuse to being this sexually liberated person that you are, and to just invite massive amounts of tenderness to those listening around that journey, that like there's never judgment, like that is a journey that is sacredly yours, and also the pursuit of healing and the pursuit of freedom from the cages that and the pain that has been inflicted upon you. That pursuit is always worth it every single time. And Veena, you've just spoken that so beautifully. Like I feel like when women transcend sexual blockades, if you will, there should be a stage and we should be getting awards. It's this thing, right? And like the first time you squirted and you're like, oh, like that's like a freaking miracle. And you know, like, but you can't go shout it from the rooftops and nobody's giving you an award. Well, I officially give you an award, Veena. Healing, because my goodness, like so few are able to access that. And when we do, maybe this is the thing I need to create, like the sex awards. And we all come together and we celebrate the ways that we've healed around our body and our sexuality.
That's a wonderful, wonderful idea.
Let's do it, Veena.
Yes, let's do it. I'm serious. I'm
I'll
serious.
have it at your here we go. It's all well, thank you again. For those of you who have listened, go check out Veena's links in the description. Love having you on as always, Veena. I can't wait to see what other things we can co-create together and all of that. And for those of you who have listened, you know, do reach out. Feel free to leave comments for us. We will check them. We will respond. And this is the end of my long marathon day of Magdalene interviews. It has been such a day. I'm going to go and rest. And we'll see you again next time on the Magdalene interview series. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.